I feel like the slice of life anime is a very misunderstood concept within the anime community. When getting to know people who have watched anime or currently watch anime, or even talking to friends, I tend to get the same reaction. Slice of life anime is known as a boring, nothing going on type of show. It doesn't hit the same like your typical shonen anime, with action being in front of your face. There's always this notion that it's about a guy who meets a girl in the class, they fall in love, and take the entirety of season to confess. And the next anime is pretty much the same thing. A generic love story between two characters who struggle to confess their love. However, there are some big differences out there, and I feel like finding your favorite slice of life anime, or a good slice of life anime in general, it's like a big needle in a haystack. You gotta go through a bunch of terrible anime before you find the good one that actually lands a good hooking point. But with that said, I've discovered one that came out just this year. Have you ever got hit with a cold shoulder from someone who didn't know anything about you? They automatically have these prerequisite thoughts without so much as saying hey to you or trying to get to know you. They misunderstand you as being scary, too nice, tattoos, or just any random reason. Well, this show is called The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity. So in this show, we get introduced to our main character named Rentaro, our blonde-haired character who goes to an all-boys school known as Chidori High School. Though right off the back, I was already interested in this character because he already looks similar to a certain character from a movie called A Silent Voice. This character gets heat for being very tall and somewhat antisocial, and some conversations get people frightened and they take off running, and many people tend to misunderstand him. He helped runs a cake shop with his mom, though he isn't the only one dealing with a lot of internal conflict. His school in general, they assume that they are just a bunch of flunky delinquents. In fact, there was a moment in the school where the girls dropped something by accident and they took one look at the boys and just kept on going and gave them this ugly scarred face. The guys pretty much just go on about their day and treat it like a common occurrence, though Rentaro is often hard on himself, thinking that things are his fault, and he tends to put up these walls and keeps his distance from his friends and other people from time to time, and keep to himself, ditching hangouts and just sitting alone like your typical loner. We eventually got a scene with Rentaro having to help out his mom in a cake shop, as she wanted him to serve this girl some cake, though she eventually took off running out of nowhere, and he thought it would basically be the end of that customer and he wouldn't see her again because he assumed that he scared her off. We can tell it did somewhat bother him because the friends offered him a hangout after school, and he pretty much kind of gave them the cold shoulder a little bit, and his friends took notice, and he basically just sat alone in his room before his mom interrupted his alone time and said that she is back at the store again and wants to speak to him specifically. So he came out and served her cake, and they caught up in a little bit of small talk and exchanged in some dialogue. And we found out she was just an extremely nervous and shy person, and could possibly be hinting maybe she was crushing on him. We're not really sure at this point, but we can tell that she's not scared of him like most reactions he normally get from other people. He sees her off and heads back to his room, where he tries to process everything that happened up to this point, from his childhood, from what his usual reactions he get versus these new reactions this girl is currently giving him, before his mom interrupts him and sees that the girl outside had dropped her package and assumed that something must have happened to her. So Rentaro goes outside looking around, wondering where the girl is at, before he spots her being cornered by these two guys. And we find out that they were stalking her from outside the shop, just wanting to see if she had some type of connection to Rentaro, since they saw her talking to him. They try to mess with her a little bit and tell her that Rentaro is basically a delinquent and everybody is pretty much avoiding him for specific reasons, and saying that this guy is bad news, before she eventually tries to shut them down by saying that she can't believe that they're all just judging him by these strange rumors without actually getting to know this guy, and tell them that if they actually tried to get to know him, they wouldn't think that way. And they basically just tell them that they don't really care about what she thinks or what she feels about him. And they attempt to round up this punch and get ready to throw it at her, before Rentaro intervenes and shields her with his back and takes the brunt of the attack with his forehead against the wall as blood drips down. And that's when Rentaro looks at them with this pissed off look and basically gives them the scare as they run away. And he apologizes to the girl swiftly, saying that this was all his fault, that she got wrapped up into this, and saying that, this maybe he was like a delinquent and whatnot. And she basically tries to cheer him up and say this is not his fault and it's nothing that he should be ashamed of. This was all on them. And they basically part ways as she managed to make her way back to the station safely and get home. And that's when the episode pretty much finishes off, where he arrives at his class the next day very early in the morning, and he peeks outside and notices the girl is across from him at school, going to the opposite school, before he closes the windows very fast, quickly shy. And all in all, that wraps up all of episode 1. So, not bad anime from what we got so far. Very suspenseful, a lot of mystery around these characters, and pretty engaging early on. And not really many cliches that I've noticed from this anime so far. And a lot of misunderstandings going on with people assuming with this prerequisite of him being too scary and whatnot. And I find it kind of relatable in a way that I'm sure everybody has been to a school or a work setting and have been pretty much misunderstood by people who didn't even try to get to know them, which I find a very interesting concept. So all in all, not bad for episode 1. Give it a solid 8 out of 10, and that wraps it up for right here.